Hey guys, it's Charlie subbing in here for TheTopher, bringing you first drive footage of the IONIQ 5N out on track. We're at WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway here outside of Monterey, California, and experiencing this 601 horsepower beast in the tracking environment. This is one of the very first electric vehicles designed for track driving. We have all sorts of different track modes. We've got motor temp and battery temp, and a car that is built to do exactly this. Not just capable, not just quick, but also fine-tuned for this sort of experience. So we've actually already been out from one section. We're going to drop that footage in here as well, but this is the first chance we have to really introduce the car, take a look at some of the differences that we've seen while we're letting the other drivers go out and do their session. Differences from the normal IONIQ 5N, we'll go through some more of those later on in our street driving as well. All the different buttons and modes. We've got battery preconditioning and race modes and differential and everything like that. I mean, it's really a car built for this. Let's hop out, take a quick look before we get started. I think we're gonna be going here soon. The car is lowered, it's widened, it's got some extra aero compared to the other car, but obviously you're still dealing with the restrictions for aerodynamics because this car is still supposed to get about 220 miles of EPA estimated range. So you've got a lot of engineering factors that go into a vehicle like this. But running some 21-inch Pirelli 275 section tires. What actual tires are we running? These are Pirelli P0s. I see an HN compound electric, so they're specifically designed for this car. That's exciting right there. But even though this is a track capable and track designed vehicle, it's also supposed to be a fun daily driver. And listen to this.
So have we figured out, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, you're good. No, go ahead. And here we go. Manual seats. A little bit less impactful of an acceleration than I expected. I mean, I guess, I don't know what I expected, but you hear 600 horsepower and you really expect to be pinned back. Maybe just because we are on the racetrack situation here. I am in N mode, correct? I mean, I see a lot of race and ESC sport and everything. Obviously, definitely need to figure out a way to turn off that forward collision warning. Steering weight is good. It's actually decently light. I appreciate that. Don't need a real heavy steering in order to performance drive. Obviously had the air conditioning going as well. Nice and cool the whole time. Looking forward to exploring some of those sounds in the next session. Definitely a car that you can tell requires a lot of time to play around with and really make your own. Look at that little blind spot monitor there. It's funny. See the array of colors for the new i5N.
this next session, we're gonna do the manual shifting.
Yep, okay.
So we'll push this right button.
Oh, I think I'm already in it, right?
Oh, there you are.
Yep.
There you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. We have a few different fake sounds. This one, I think, I don't know which one we're in at the moment. I think we're probably trying to emulate a bit of the ignition. It's supposed to emulate an ice car. Here we go. First gear. Oh, it's shifting for me. Don't shift for me. I gotta say, that's not too bad. All right. So it apparently will actually bounce off this imaginary rev limiter if the environment's right. If I put it up there. All right, let's drive. Oh, and it does yank me a little bit there too. Shift for me now here. You feel the weight of the car, but it's not overbearing. Heavy on the brakes. I don't know if I like that. I think I want my power right away. Let's try a different sound. That sounds terrible. Oh, and so does that. I'm getting some steering intervention there, a little bit of a light on the tail. Okay, I started to have a little fun with it, but gosh, that's terrible. There's either a lot more in the car or it's very forgiving, one of the two. I think we need to push it a little harder. That's your, I don't know how it's gonna come through on video. Maybe it's, maybe it's gonna sound a little silly, but that was kind of cool. All right, so you can change the volume. We're at medium volume, go all the way up to 20. There's your rev limiter. Exterior speakers and high performance sound effects. That's probably the over rev. Let's try turning that up. Yep. All right, there's no over rev then, and then this is with some of those pops and burbles. Brower's gonna appreciate those. And then we can turn it down to, here's volume 2. That's actually, I think that's probably better. A little bit more like that. You do feel those shifts though, that's fun. All right, so what sort of regen are we getting right now? I want to go back, put me back, here we go. Here's just normal shut up mode. Oh yeah, that's nice. See, I kind of like tracking in this silence, but some people are gonna appreciate that sound. Motor temp a good bit hotter now. We're down to 62% state of charge. I think we started with, what, you can check the video, but I think it's something around 90. It is fun. I gotta say that. And I have the privilege of having driven the Kia EV6 GT on track as well. And this is definitely more balanced. The EV6 GT felt like something you really had to wrestle with and was more for just screwing around and having fun. This does feel serious. It does feel like, as a driver, I can be rewarded by pushing it harder and finding more time in the car. We got one more session after this, and I think we're going to play around with the N Grin Boost for the next session, so that should be good. All right, so we're going to turn N Race back on, but this time we're going to be running in Sprint rather than Endurance, and that's going to allow our engagement of the NG Boost. So I've been saying 601 horsepower for this car, even though you're going to read a lot of places 641, because you only get 641 horsepower, that extra 41. When you press this, you get it for about 10 seconds, and theoretically you can keep doing that. There's a little bit of a cooldown period, but nominally, all you've seen of me driving so far is just 601 horsepower. So we are in N mode. We're gonna go quiet again here. We're just normal sound, and 61% state of charge. N race. Oh, I want N pedal on as well. Yep, so apparently, I was just talking to the engineer, one of the engineers right there, product designers. N pedal is going to provide a larger amount of regen than simply being in I pedal mode or any of the standard street modes. So this is apparently going to make the car dive and rotate that much better. I think it applies a little bit of regen to the front first, and I'm not getting much regen now. NGB. So yeah, I mean, I guess theoretically speaking, there's a little bit more power there, but it's not earth-shattering by any means. I'm sure you'll notice it a little bit more on the street. So you got about 10 seconds between each time you can press that boost. Getting a lot of that brake biasing. I can see how you would want to not have that, you'd want to have ESC off if you were really the owner of this car. But I'm really liking the rotation. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of brake biasing, not loving that. I mean, it's keeping us in check. Oversteer coming out of that corner. I'm happy with that. Oh, you can really feel it. I think it goes up to 0.6 G with N pedal, so it's more of a track focused regen. Be interesting to try driving on the street like that. So you saw our 3 sessions there, down to 45% state of charge. It's enough power and enough character in the chassis to play around with it some. I know you could have a lot of fun hooning around, doing some sliding shenanigans. There's modes for that. There's a drift mode in here, a drift optimizer. You can even select the different rates that are torque is distributed between the 2 axles. This is a serious car. They made it to be such. It's much more of a dedicated effort. I remember when we had the EV6 GT out at Gingerman Raceway and we talked with the Kia team beforehand, they pretty much said, yeah, just drive it around in sport. Whereas, I mean, look at all the various race and track settings for this IONIQ 5N. This is a serious car. They're doing racing leagues with this car in Korea. So Hyundai's got a lot going right with this, and I am excited to spend more time with it. We're gonna have it out on the street here later on, and hopefully back out on the track again sometime. Chris is expecting baby TOF number 2 coming soon, so I don't know when he's gonna be able to get one of these on track, but you know it'll happen. And driving with N pedal, I should say, they said that they saw a significant reduction in brake pad usage driving track with N pedal, so that's definitely good to see. All right, well, I think that's about all we have to say about the track aspects. Digest on it a little bit, talk a little bit more when we're out on the street, got a little bit more time to think about it, but you saw it for yourself right there. All right, now we're getting the opportunity to take the IONIQ 5N out on the street, and as you can hear, the car sounds as though it's running. That's that fake noise that we were talking about earlier. And before we actually even get out for a drive, I'm gonna pull the car forward after we look at it, and we're gonna go through a quick tutorial on some of the more important performance-y aspects of the infotainment and some of the buttons here, because it is quite overwhelming, and if you own the car, you should really take a lot of time and go through it. But I wanna show you some of the highlights so that it makes sense once we're out on the road. But first I'm going to put this into N Custom, and then that should turn on our outside speaker, I believe. That would be in here, N mode, performance options, active sound, and E-shift. No, performance sound, make sure this is on. Yeah, exterior speakers. So you can hear, maybe the idle sound doesn't actually come from outside, but some of the sounds do. So here we can see the red color. I think this is the best looking one. It's a nice deep orangish red. Looks really nice, a little more mature, although you don't really notice much of the performance line running around the bottom of the car like you do with the blue or the black. Very cool design elements for this facelifted IONIQ 5. And of course this car is wider and lower than the standard one. Let's actually, before we hop in, let's take a quick look at the trunk and the rear seat. Still got a power opening lift gate. Remember, at the end of the day, this still is a $67,000 car, so there are elements that you're going to want in your day-to-day $67,000 car. I can hear and feel that sound coming through here, though. Seats fold down. Good fit a set of wheels and tires back there. Certainly. Plenty of clearance. Oh, there's a 5'10" person. Oh, yeah. Plenty of room back here. Man, this is going to make doing POV drives for electric cars so much different, having a little bit of sound to experience there. Okay, ooh, dual pane glass in the rear, a little bit of cross stitching. If you're familiar with Hyundai vehicles, especially N vehicles, you probably know that your normal drive modes, normal, eco, and sport, those are there. And through the performance screen right here, N, and the performance options, if you just turn off active sound, then it's silent. Then it's a normal EV. So we'll keep that off here for the moment. You've got your NGB button that we saw that on track. That's your N Grin Boost, giving you that extra 40 horsepower. This one of these, this one. Okay, this one is your N button. This one simply turns on or off the fake shifting. So when you hit this, it turns on active sound. It's NE shift, and now you hear. That's kind of fun. But pressing that again does not turn off the active sound. So that's a bit of an oversight if you ask me. And then this is your normal N button, putting you in between N and custom 1. I think there's also a custom 2 that you can do in there, because if you're in custom 1, then you go into your N screen and slide over, and then you can see your customizations for custom 1 and custom 2. So right now I've got the motor in Sport Plus, the limited slip diff in Sport Plus, steering normal, ESC Sport, suspension Sport, and this is your active sound that you can go through the different modes there. We've got launch control, and within that, launch control has options for different road grip levels, high, medium, and low. We might try a medium one if we get a chance later on here. NE shift, that's the fake shifting that we're going to experience here on the road as well. And active sound. We went through that a little bit on track, but if you go in there, you can adjust how loud it is. And let's see if we can hear anything outside. Subtle. I've heard the cars going by on the track, and you can definitely hear them. Let's bring that down to a more reasonable level. Go back. You have your N battery preconditioning if we're going to be doing either drag driving or track driving. N pedal, we saw that on track. And then drift optimizer, N race, N torque distribution. I actually want to play around with this a little bit, because if you hit activate and you've got it in the proper mode, then you can go, oh, we're not in the proper mode. What have we not done properly? Oh, any shift. We need to turn off any shift. There we go. Now you can go back here to the main end screen and switch between 50-50 and then all the way up, looks like 100% front or 100% rear. So I'm liking the center console layout though. Now that we have wireless CarPlay, you can simply slap your phone right there, give it some juice. I want to turn off the active sound to begin with. In fact, let's just go into normal drive mode. First, if you were to just own the IONIQ 5N and need to drive into the office, what's it going to be like? You're going to crash because you're going to forget how to turn all these things on and off. We want active sound. Oh, it is off. What's that sound we're hearing then? Oh, that's just the noise of the car driving. All right. One thing I am not seeing, which is disappointing me, is a way to bring up a digital speedometer here in normal mode. I got the analog speedo over on the left, and I hope they didn't take away a way for us to get a digital speedo. It might be something we have to be stopped and adjust the settings. Let's see, driver assistance. But a lot of Hyundai vehicles, like the Elantra N I was just in, you can bring up a digital speedo in the center. But it doesn't seem like we're getting that option here in the IONIQ 5. Decent bit of throttle delay in normal mode. It's to be expected, because you don't want people getting jerked around too aggressively, do we? But you can hear, I can put my foot to the floor before we actually get the acceleration happening. And that's probably good for day-to-day driving. Remarkably quiet at 55. Steering is definitely quick. They used a quicker steering rack in this car. Even though this is obviously based on the normal IONIQ 5, they've made a remarkable number of chassis and structural rigidity improvements, made it lower, wider, and given it 545 pound-feet of torque and 601 horsepower, and then obviously with the N Grin Boost, even more. Going over some of this rougher section of asphalt. Getting some echoiness, I'm sure you're picking up from the headphones, but ride itself, there's definitely some of that impact harshness with the 21-inch wheels, thin tires. Secondary ride seems good. We have some physical controls to bring up the sort of long in the tooth Hyundai navigation. I don't particularly blame them though, because I suspect that people are just going to use their wireless phone projection, and that's what Hyundai assumes. Let's bring up our NE shift. I'm going to make that a little bit louder. How can we do this without crashing? How about right there? Volume 10. And why not? We're coming up to some good corners. Let's bring up full N mode. Have some fun. Or we'll actually do my N custom mode. Should be a good street version here. Wow. That's what I've always loved about N, is that they care more about building a car that's fun than they do building a car that's fast. And don't get me wrong, they are fast. But I hope you can see from the camera shaking, there's an interruption of power there, and there's still a power crescendo, just like I were in a gasoline car, as we get up toward redline. Oh. Ooh, it feels so much quicker in the real world than it did on track. I just went up this road in the Elantra N, and this feels remarkably different. Feels flat. That's what I'm noticing out here, is the lack of body roll is remarkable. Let's try full N mode. Let's see what the ride is like. Let's play around real quick and try out the torque vectoring, the torque distribution. So that was, remember how to do this all while driving, not crashing. Down here, torque distribution, activate. We're in N mode, so it should go. Yep. Now, right now we're in 50-50. Let's try all front. Okay, all right. I feel a little bit more, I want to Let's try it from a stop here. Okay, so it's still not giving me all front. I can see from that little torque graph right up there. I don't know why. Maybe it's just sending as much to the front as it can. Let's see if we put it all the way into the rear. Whoops. And now my screen is gone. There we go. Put it back to the rear. It's probably something you should be doing while you're stopped. Yeah, now it's giving me much less to the front, but it is still providing torque to both. So it's not a full 100 or 0 split. But, you know, it's something to play around with if you were really either fine-tuning your track driving or you're messing around in the dirt or the snow. It'd be cool to be able to mess with those. And I mean, it's just nice that Hyundai has the ability, so they're giving us the opportunity. Alright, steering feel is medium. It's not woolly and vague as though we were driving a mini product, but it's not Porsche or Mazda Miata levels either. It's still light though, I do appreciate that. It really, I mean, Chris isn't going to want me to get too philosophical in his video, so I won't. But I am sitting here thinking to myself, am I okay with the fact that this is all... And it's not totally imaginary, because they are making some sort of correspondence between the amount of power I'm being given and the noise that's being fed into my ear. But am I okay with the fact that it doesn't need to be? The fact that I could press one button here. Oh, and then I get full power right away, which is uncanny. Am I okay with the fact that it's fake like that? And I think I am, because at the end of the day, I'm having a good time, and that's what really matters. Right now, Chris is likely driving a Toyota Camry, and I don't suspect he's having as much fun as I am. So thank you, Chris. Pop out of N mode here. I love how easy that is to do. And I can drive by these very nice houses without disturbing them. Now, of course, Chris is going to get this car for a week-long time, and he's going to have his full breakdown for you, go over the sound system, and talk about the car more from a daily usable and living with sort of situation. It is a bit unfortunate that you do have to trade off some of the usable real-world range in order to get this performance. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You have to have aerodynamics in order to go quickly with a car like this, go fast, I should say, and you have to have the stickier rubber and everything. So I'm by no means faulting Hyundai for any of that. It's just a little bit of a disappointment that if you wanted to daily drive a car like this, you have to give up some of those things. But you got to make sacrifices if you want to daily drive any sort of performance car. I mean, the Elantra N, that gets like, what, low 20s MPG in mixed driving, and that's only making under 300 horsepower. So, yeah, compromises have to be made regardless of your method of propulsion. And, my gosh, this is fun. That's all I can say, is that it's just plain fun. 360-degree camera, like to see that. Ooh, turning radius is not fantastic. Definitely something to be aware of. Reminds me of Ford Focus RS. We're gonna do our last walk around right here so we can get that winding road video on the way back. So if you do want to see a little bit more canyon carving, check that out. But wow, what a neat product. And honestly, at $67,000, given the way the market is right now, not bad at all. So thanks for watching, guys. Chris will have this car back in Michigan doing a whole lot of shenanigans before too long, and we'll see you on the next one.